AJ, you've had some suspension damage there. Stay out. We've seen a little bit of bodywork damage there. We think you'll be exiting the pits to clear air. We expect to exit the pits in position 3, a few seconds behind Eaton.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here on another Saturday in the Peak Performance series for round 2 at Sonoma Raceway. I am one of your two hosts with the most. Chad Dillon, joined on commentary by Mr. Andrew Spence.
I noticed you said 2. I wonder what's the purpose of the gentleman to the right of us.
Well, we are the host with the most. I would give him his own introduction if you would just follow protocol.
My apologies. Go ahead, sir.
So no, you are now to introduce yourself to the people, Mr. Spence.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mr. Spence, as Chad so eloquently stated. I am your second in command this evening and will be watching these events as these drivers take on the Sonoma Raceway in California.
And we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Rory Daly, who is the, I want to say, the mentor for the host with the most.
Yes.
That means him have more than the most. I don't know how that works, but Mr. Rory Daly, how are you?
Thank you very much, Chad and Andrew. I just want you to understand and that I really appreciate the fact that you're having me on your broadcast. As you know, you are the voice of the JSRA. You bring both of you bring a level of professionalism and insight to not only the JSRA events, but sim racing as a whole, because you're not just in the commentator's driving seat, you're also in the driving seat. Both of you, well, I know one of you has driven this track and has amazing ability and insight into it. Mr. Spence has been beating up our El Presidente.
For sure.
Just logging off those wins over El Presidente. Stephen Spence for Stephen Stewart. Stephen Stewart for a while now. I'm not just calling him out because it's true. I'm also not going to take over this broadcast, but I'm just going to have to say one thing before we even get any further. It's been 2 weeks. I've been DM'd, I've been WhatsApped, I've been emailed. People have been calling me, and you won't guess what the topic is. You know, you would think of the quality of the racing that's going on, the battles, the amazing driving that's going on, but everybody wants to know, what is the snack for tonight? That's it.
That's a good question. May I interject here, because I came here and I saw about 12 donuts on the table that weren't ours.
So we're going to call out El Presidente again, because the last time I brought some. What did I bring the last time?
Cupcakes.
Oh man.
I don't know if you know this, but El Presidente is a chef in his free time.
Indeed.
All right, he does this thing called crispy pork, which he kind of hides away.
I actually didn't know that.
All right, and it's amazing. I've been able to have it through the grace and goodness of his mother. She offered it to me versus the chef. So what are we having tonight? All right, I'm going to take a few seconds and I'm going to get our snack, and we'll see whether or not I once again have topped El Presidente.
Right, let's see what's happening here, folks, as we await Mr. Daly's return. Just to remind you, this is the Peak Performance series where the drivers are competing for their share of $100,000, as Mr. Rory Daly has delivered on his promise to present the commentary team with some Krispy Kreme donuts
After tax.
to offset El Presidente's dry donuts of the last.
Oh my.
So we've gotten quality, and it seems quantity.
Oh wow.
Hold on, we're not done yet.
Wow.
Because I always over-deliver.
All right.
Oh no, that sounds like some money. Yeah man. Oh
there.
wow, yeah man. There. Well, is it the variety pack? Because if it is, you're going to have to take. Oh yeah. All right. This is where I
Ladies and
exit the
gentlemen.
stream. Ladies and gentlemen, Chad Dillon will be taking over the rest of the
Ladies and
evening.
So let us describe to our viewers what we have here. We have 24 Krispy Kreme donuts. we have we have the regular glaze. I think there's 10 of them now because I gave one to our guest and I had one myself. And I have what you want, Mr. Spence, the assorted buck.
My God.
They didn't have any strawberry cheesecake, so one of them might be.
Yeah, man, that's fine. That's
So
fine.
I've satiated all the race fans, and you can tell that the commentary crew is now fully.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you what my day has entailed so far. There's a point to my story, I promise. I got up this morning at 5:45 a.m. I loaded up my bicycle in the back of my car, put on my cycling gear. I drove to the foot of the Blue Mountains. I got on my bicycle from the start of Newcastle Road and pedaled my bicycle all the way to Newcastle Camp. And I'm about to undo
Nice.
all of that.
Now you're making me feel
Street.
completely guilty.
Oh no. There's nothing to feel guilty about. It would have
Totally
been
get it.
undone one way or the
Totally
next. And I mean, this is a good way to undo
I mean,
it.
there's
I am
always
not-
tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Don't worry, so don't never forget that.
Well, yes, I have a 5K tomorrow, so I'll be doing the best dress 5K tomorrow. So I'll be undoing all of this tomorrow. Unlike, you're undoing your exercise. I'm undoing my fitness.
You're doing it in reverse. I see. So yes, as we have gotten, well, I want to say sidetracked, but it can't be sidetracked when
No.
when
As
good
I
things are
said, the
happening.
fans wanted to know. They know. So now the challenge again has been pushed to El Presidente. He will now have to somehow surpass the
Yes.
setup today.
It's gonna be very
in terms
difficult.
of food. And he also needs to come out and race with all the heads of their federations during the week.
Correct.
You know, he seems to be falling back on his duties.
No, certainly El
Anyway.
Presidente has some work to do, and I am concerned that Mr. Daly will continue to outshine him throughout the rest of the series. There are still 5 races to go following tonight, so you have holy power to do in the next 5 races, Mr. President.
I am challenging Chef Stewart to match this with his crispy pork in 2 weeks.
So, as we are progressing here, we do see we have some guests in the chat. We thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you joining us here for week 2 of 7 in our Peak Performance series. Once again, the drivers are competing for their share of 100,000, let me clarify, Jamaican dollars. Money is money. And, you know, this is in collaboration with the JEI, who we express our thanks to. You know, their president, Mr. Gregory Moore, we do appreciate the collaboration with us to kind of give us a platform on which to showcase the drivers and the talent that we have. We are in a practice session, which will wrap up in about 6 minutes as we move into the qualifying session. The drivers that you see on track currently are all participating in today's event. And as you can see, we have some drivers very close in terms of their times, and I can almost guarantee you they will be closer before the day is done. For the week thus far, we will have, I hope to have a look at the times that these drivers have done. Yes, as we have it now on screen, we see the top 4 drivers all within half a second of each other. And I should point out that Mitch and Wallace has since upgraded that time to a 140.1. So all 4 of those drivers within 4/10 of each other. So we should have some exciting action in store this evening.
Before I go forward, again, I'd just like to thank our sponsors, Digicel, Blue, Buzzards, Primus, Fresh Approach Chinese Supermarket, Rocket Go-Karting and Paintball, the Esports Store, LOL Snack Shop, Virtual Reality Jamaica, Domino's, and you know, if you're watching tonight, or if you watch any JSRA event, we do offer a prize. You could get a coupon that will give you $1,000 off, or if you're lucky enough, you might get a free pizza coupon. So stay tuned to our JSRA events. And you can get free food just like the commentary team. Gilded, Yard Gaming, XPG Video Games, Fusion Core Gaming Lounge, and Esports Jamaica. Want to thank you all. It wouldn't be possible without you. And one of the things I don't think a lot of people have noticed because we've just been in practice, but our sponsors are now on the actual track branding itself. See, we're Sports Max, our broadcast partner. You can watch from their YouTube live, or you can be watching this on the app. But going forward, where it does allow us, we will be branding the track. And if you're a potential sponsor, you can reach out to us and the JSRA. We can work out a deal. Maybe you'll have your product or your logo on a track that we are using going forward. Again, thank all our sponsors. Chad?
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Rory. And as we are going along here, we once again will remind you that this is round 2 of 7. Round 3 will come to us from Austria in 2 weeks' time following this event. And we look forward to that race as well. But before that, we do have an exciting evening for you where we do expect good, hard, fair, close racing. Lots of adjectives to describe the drivers that we have here in the JSRA. And we can just do a reminder of the current the current point standings in the competition thus far. After round 1, we have Jaden Harrison leading the championship on 30 points. Kurt Moss in second position with 25.5 points. That half point is for pole position. And Mark Anthony Eaton in third, 15 points. Kelvin Ropo in fourth. Sorry, my apologies, I misspoke there. Mark Anthony Eaton is on 23 points. Kelvin Ropo on 18 points. Jason Alexander on 12. Kimani Eastman and Tavar Clark tied on 11. And Davil Park on 5. A torrid week last week for Davil Park as he could not maintain connection to the server, so having taken last place in both events, is on 5 points. We are missing a few drivers this evening, some of them due to circumstance, others can't really explain. However, there will be a change in the driver lineup that we could announce at a later date, just whilst waiting for that to happen. That being said, we are expecting to be moving into qualifying momentarily, and we will take the wagers of my co-hosts here as to who they think will be taking what position. So yes, gentlemen, taking your wagers as to where you think the drivers will be qualifying as we come to the end of practice session to move into qualifying.
So let me just say that we did Virginia International Raceway 2 weeks ago. That was our first and opening circuit. That was a very tight, technical, narrow track. We had a lot of wouldn't say incidents, but it was one of those tracks that promoted very close racing. You had to have your lines correctly, or you get a bunch of track cuts. We're still in the United States, and Sonoma isn't any much different. It's another tight technical track. Where it's, there's not a lot of space. There's some elevation. There are some passing areas for the Brave.
Definitely for the Brave.
But ultimately, I really can't. Given the time difference between all the top talent here, I'm not exactly sure who I put my money on or what I literally expect. Because as we learned from the last race, yes, there is a rough amount of people that stay within a bubble, but at the end of the day, the race flow shifts so significantly that ultimately it's not easy to guess who's going to take over.
Spoken like a true politician there, Mr. Daly. And I imagine Mr. Anderson will also be very political in his response to that question.
No, not necessarily. Well, kind of, but not really. So I would say, based on previous events, I would say Moss. We know Jaden had that 20-hour race this morning, as we spoke about last night. So I'm not sure what the condition of his concentration would be tonight. So I'm gonna have to put Jaden either third or fourth.
All right, so let's take a bit and let's run through what we have here. So let's look at the top three. So Jaden Harris, 30 points. He won the main race first. Came fifth in the sprint race. His first race, the main race, he finished that race in spectacular fashion, to say the least.
Definitely.
But and I'm gonna say this, so people don't know. Jaden just finished 6 hours of the Glen on iRacing, so he's coming from that event straight to this event. He's been racing all day. All right, so either he's going to be very tired or he's going to be very gassed up, ready to enjoy, the success that he had on the.
Indeed, as just to clarify, we have rolled into the qualifying session, but whilst the drivers are on their outlaps, we will look at second place, Mr. Massive Kurt Moss.
Yes. So, Andrew.
Well, as I said, I mean, I am gonna say Moss will be my first pick for this evening. But then again, we had some new information yesterday where he kind of changed his ring. So he's not necessarily up to speed as yet. However, he may just be sandbagging.
Well, I know that. Again, just like Harrison, there have been some major changes here. Mr. Moss has upgraded his equipment.
Indeed.
That tells you how serious he is about this series. If you didn't know, he actually won the second race. He ran the sprint race, but he was penalized.
Yes.
And that promoted our third place, which is Mr. Eden. Mark Anthony Eden sitting 23.
Right, so yes, Mr. Eden here won the preliminary event and
Took home 25K.
for that preliminary event. Took third place in last week's season opener, and as Rory mentioned, was promoted to the victory in the sprint race due to Mr. Moss's penalty for completing an overtake off track against Mr. Tavar Clark. I want to say that move was.
So that's our top three in terms of points. But it's not done yet, because the reality of the situation is that there is actually 825 points left over the remaining, from tonight going forward to the remaining 60. That means that even at this point, it's still wide open. You're not mathematically eliminated as yet. If you do what you have to do, if you're consistent, you have the points necessary to move yourself forward in this game. So we'll go to fourth and fifth. Threats. Those are the top two, and you would again the top three, and you'd go, okay, that's the end of it. But we know this is a math game at this point. So in fourth, we have Calvin Roper, 18 points, and Jason Alexander in fifth with 12 points. Now, Jason was a pretty good threat during the reverse grid sprint race, so we know that if he's given the opportunity, he can collect some serious points going forward. Again, Roper, as we know, kind of hit and miss from time to time, but again, consistency, making sure that he has enough points. And I said, you're not out of this mathematically. You still have over 800 points.
Absolutely, and I think Roper might have suffered a bit of shaken confidence seeing the gap between himself and the top three in last week's event. I only hope that he knows that, like you said, it's a long series, still over 800 points to gather. So they might have been quicker around Virginia. You don't know their rounds to come that I think are better suited to some drivers than others. And another honorable mention is Mr. Mitchen Wallace,
Definitely.
who is doing his first event here this evening, having missed the opening round due to circumstances beyond his control. But like you said, with 825 points on offer, who's to say he can't get into the mix? Sure, he's off to a handicap per se, but in due time, and he does look quite competitive in the series here today for a top points paying position. And knowing the consistency and capabilities of Mitchen, I think it is very possible that you could see him take a podium position here in today's event.
Well, as you said, Chad, he is definitely, I would say, the underdog for today's race, considering his times have been so, close to the top three. Generally, it's not as close, but nothing really separates them for this race. And he has been spending a lot more time in ACC, which it could be the track, or it could be his newfound experience on the ACC platform, which is giving him this, advantage. He is the underdog for me today. I'm expecting a second or third place finish. Usually, I would have Eaton at third. However, the consistency issue, Eaton has done more laps than
God.
yes.
Having done over
A
800 laps.
Yeah, man,
At this point, he could rebuild the track in his mind.
I would like to have kind of hazard a prediction here. Well, not a prediction, just a kind of guess statistic that if you add up the laps that everybody else did, you still might not equate to the laps that Eden did.
And that's good, because that's what we need. We need people who are
definitely.
serious about it.
Absolutely.
I know he enjoys it. See, he's drifting his way through that corner there.
That's nice.
There is a bit of another issue when you're racing with other people on the circuit. It's not necessarily going to be the most fun thing when you're doing single time trial laps. But as we know, Ethan has racecraft as a karter, and as we've seen him through his this early stages of his career. So we'll never question his pace. And again, you're saying a top three finish. My thing is at this point is, do you play the long game, or is it too early in the season and you just need to go for every point that you possibly can?
Well, as we are halfway now through qualifying, the top three stands Kurt Moss, Mitchen Wallace, and Jaden Harrison. Mitchen Wallace showing that he does actually have the pace to mix it up with the top three from round one, and is right there in second position now. So could prove to be the spoke in the wheel for the current top three in the standings for this weekend and going forward, as long as he has no other.
And we know that Mr. Lockwood is clearly not in this.
Big up Lockwood. Big up Sir Lockwood.
So we know there's a good chance for some good racing here.
Sorry, 1 second. Just to acknowledge that there was a message in the chat about the Domino's Pizza. We will be having a coupon giveaway. We will alert you as to when it will happen, but throughout the show we will do a quiz of some kind that could earn you a Domino's coupon. So you can stay tuned for that. And yeah, we're more than halfway through qualifying. We have Jaden Harrison now has improved his time to take second position away from Mitchen Wallace, 2/10 off of Kurt Moss. And the drivers in the top four have, well, 3 of the 4 drivers in the top 4 have all done sub 1 minute 40s previously. So with 5 minutes to go, track conditions are optimal. Maybe we do see these drivers get back down into the 139s. Who's to tell? Still lots of time here. Time for about maybe 2 or 3 more qualifying laps, flying laps, as the session winds down. So just to remind everybody, following the qualifying session will be a 45-minute race, and that race features a mandatory pit stop. And having spoken to some of the drivers, we have been told that somewhat due to the elevation change as well as the aggressive curbs and consistent corners, because I mean there's but maybe 1.5 straights on around this track. The drivers are reporting higher than normal tire wear, so maybe the pit strategies today will have a bigger role to play than in other rounds.
And we have to remember there were some incidents last time where speed limits, people forgetting to set up their pit strategy. So these things need to be remembered and dealt with. Just give a few details on Sonoma. It used to be called Sears Point. It's located in California. It was built in 1968, and again, it's another iconic North American race circuit. It's just over 4 kilometers long. It has 12 turns, and the most significant of which is turns 2 and 3. Now, if you see it from the game, as you can see the footage here, as you come up, you go into 2 and 3, it's an uphill off camber turn. So what that means is that the inside of the corner it leans the opposite way. So it leans toward the opposite side of the inside of the corner. So the angle is away from the corner, the camber from the apex. So that means that your car is outside leaning away while you're trying to turn in, and at speed, which makes it very, very, very difficult. It's a very busy track, as Chad so expertly said. Not a lot of straights on it. You're always turning, you're always turning, you're always turning. There are some wide open spaces that give the illusion that you can make a move here and there. But Chad, you've driven a couple 100,000 million laps on this track with this circuit with this car. Give us your opinion on it.
So, as I was kind of making mention in the practice session yesterday, I think maybe there are 2, possibly 3 zones where you could look to make a move, just because, again, this track is very tight and you are always turning. So I think down the back straight, which is turn 8 into turn 9, is one possible location going into that last chicane before you do the run down to the final corner. I think that is one possible location to make a move, because it depends on, one, the run that you get out of the very daring turn 8. Turn 8 is when I say very daring, you are almost flat out through that section of the track. It is a slight lift, and it is get back on power as early as you dare, turn the car in and hope the nose sticks. That is the only way through that corner. And if a driver gets it wrong, it will leave him wide open for attack going down to turn 9. The other zone, I think, is coming out of turn 6, which I think is Jaden. As we're riding along here, Jaden is now heading towards turn 6. You have the crest here, where you have to do a slight lift to get over the crest, and then immediately on the brakes, trail brake into the corner, get as close to the apex as possible, power out. If you're not early enough on the power, I mean, the driver behind or any other driver that you're coming into contact with could get the run on you going up to turn 7. And turn 7 is another heavy braking zone, so the later brakers could have an advantage going into that corner. So just some of the zones that we could look at for moves to happen as we progress through this race here this evening.
Okay, and this circuit, we're using what's known as the World Touring Car Championship configuration. This configuration of the track was generated in 2012 when the WTCC WTCC, yes, correct, made their visit to the United States and Sonoma Raceway. So, if you're not aware, WTCC, World Touring Car is front wheel drive. So maybe the configuration is that more front wheel drive friendly than a rear wheel drive. But quite frankly, I think 2 Sundays ago, they used the same circuit, the same layout they used this for the NASCAR. And I was watching that, and that was quite.
I was actually thinking about how diverse this track is because, I mean, it's used for quite a few different series, as you mentioned, NASCAR World Touring Car Championship. It's used for IndyCar, Superbikes, V8 supercars as
Can
well.
you imagine going through turn 2 and 3 on a bike?
No, that is almost as scary as going over the crest before turn 6 on a
All
bike.
right, we have 5 seconds. Not to break it, Chad. We have 5 seconds going. 2, 3, 1, 0. And we have our qualifying session is over. Kurt Moss is down into the 139s. Mitchell is second, 0.2 of a second off. Jaden Harris is 0.29, which is that's a
And
100.
still on a flyer, so could improve upon
improve.
that as we are.
Mitchell is already in the pit, so he clearly believed he was fast enough and called it a day. Eaton is in fourth, as you expected. Well, as Andrew said, he expected Mitchell to sort of displace Eaton here. Roper.
I should point out that Eaton is on a flyer and is improving. So
Okay.
as we come to the end of Sector 2, we will see where he stands in terms of pace here. If he can trouble the current top 3, as him and Jaden are both still on flyers. Roper is done, and we will see.
Eastman, and we have Alexander.
Right.
So this should be.
I think now Harrison is also done, and I don't think Mark will be able to trouble the drivers ahead as he's already 7/10 off of Moss's time. So I guess we'll have to resign himself to 4th position here.
So maybe Andrew's right. Mr. Moss, Sir Kirtland Moss was sandbagging about his equipment. You know, his steering wheel looks like a Formula One car at this point in time. He's pressing some buttons, getting some speed. So yeah, this is going to be a great race. We have 7 drivers, as I said. The last race was nail biting. There was an ebb and flow that was just drew the excitement in and out. There was never a boring moment.
Absolutely.
And this circuit promises that there's a lot of activity. There's no straights to really speak of. You have to be driving. You have to keep your concentration. And unfortunately, I think this is one of those circuits that if you mess up, you're going to pay the price.
Absolutely. And as we wait for race start here, I see GT Panama in the chat. GT Panama reached out to us having watched round 1 and was impressed by what he saw. And we would like to point out that we do have some drivers from the Panama that will be joining us in Queso Pace next week.
Yeah, we had a wonderful race with them during the week. Clearly good talent. And we're privileged to be racing with them. And we're happy that we were able to get to them, and they saw in us a situation where they wanted to race with us. So
Absolutely.
we're happy to have them along. I hope they're watching the broadcast and enjoying it. I hope all the viewers are enjoying the broadcast.
Yeah, and we like the fact that our reach continues to extend throughout other regions in the Caribbean. So now we've touched Central America, South America, and other countries throughout the Caribbean region. So as we continue to grow, we hope to eventually reach a stage where we can be part of or host a regional competition with all of these countries. I mean, as we continue to grow, here's to hoping that there is more to come from us here at the JSRA and for future events. So as we await the start of the race here, gentlemen, for top 3 or starting front 3 are Mr. Massive Kurt Moss, Mitch and Wallace in 2nd position.
Wallace came back.
Yes, he did. He found another lap and put his car right back on the front row. And like I said, could be the dark horse for this race and the series on a whole going forward. Having missed round 1, will have some ground to make up. But if any driver can do it through consistency, it is Mitch and Wallace. So we will see what he has in store for us going forward. And the remaining positions are Jaden Harrison taking third, Mark Anthony Eaton in fourth, Roper fifth, Eastman in sixth, and Jason Alexander in seventh. All the top 5 drivers all within 1 second of each other, so could lend itself to some close racing there. I'm not sure if maybe there was some confidence shaken from Mr. Mark Anthony Eaton, because he would normally, I mean, even during the practice session yesterday, we were looking at it and we were saying his race pace is around a 140.4. So the fact that he is so far off the pace at this particular moment in time is strange. Now, the drivers are lined up on the grid and we will be getting ready to go racing in a moment.
So we have Harrison in third and Eaton in fourth. Are we looking back at the continuation of the incident? Not the incident, I should say the magnetism that occurred last event, or do you see Wallace and Harrison?
I think that is more the case, especially at the beginning. I don't. Harrison is not one to surrender at any point in time during the race. So I think earlier on he's going to try and overtake Wallace so that Moss doesn't get away from him.
Okay, and our lights are up. Formula One start.
The race is not won in turn 1, gentlemen. It can only be lost. So
here we go.
we have 6
lights
lights
are out.
and they're going out now as we head off. We ride on board with Jade Harrison to see what happens, and he has a move on the inside up on Mitch and Wallace.
Are they going to go 2 by 2 into the corner?
He has taken that position from Mitch and Wallace at the start, and Eaton looks to be going through on the inside as well. Mitch and Wallace might be falling down to 4th position here.
Interesting
as
line.
Eaton does take that position going up the hill to turn 4, and on the run down to turn, I'm sorry, now we're on the run down to turn 4. And yeah, so clean start, good start from these drivers, but Mitch and Wallace falling back fast.
Well, knowing Mitch and how it works, his situation is that he knows he has the pace on the competitor. So rather than probably just, get caught up in the insanity of the corner and battle at this point, because you have 45 minutes, just sit back and relax and get your car up. As you can see, the braking's heavy. There's a lot of corners. Everybody's going to be stressing their tires. You're not that far off. Just hold your ground. And we also see the situation where you get close enough, just make your competitor make a mistake, and you're good.
Indeed. And as we were discussing earlier this week, Mitchen having been racing in the DR series as well, Mitchen Wallace tends to be a very conservative driver, not one to show his aggression early, trying to avoid incidents, but somehow incidents still find him. So good that we've had lap 1, no major incidents, all drivers coming through cleanly, and we started with 7 are in perfect running order, and we are getting ready to see the action unfold.
So Jason Alexander, who was 7th, has made up a position. He's now in 6th, which is great because all he really needs to do at this point is get ahead of Roper, squeeze those points, get himself in a position where he can. There's somebody sideways there. It's still early. People are pushing, and that's how it's supposed to be. You want that position, get that lap time, get that lap position, so then you can do your pit stop.
I was saying that Mr. Moss had checked out by over a second at the end of lap 1, but Jaden Harrison not let him off the hook that easily, is coming back and is now 8/10 within the window.
Given what I said about Jaden earlier, I think he's hyped up from.
It does seem to be the case.
from his 6 hours in the Glen. He doesn't seem to be showing any sort of fatigue.
Definitely
I would
not.
do after 6 hours of racing, even though he was sharing duties with another person. But at the end of the day, that's still 6 hours of sim racing to come and do another, basically hour and 15 minutes of sim racing again. But yeah.
So we've already seemed to have settled into a groove here. The front 3 are the same suspects from round 1.
The usual suspects.
And we will see if it stays that way as the race progresses. And they seem to be separated by about a second, as Eastman and Jason Alexander seem to be dueling once more. Eastman taking back that position.
I wonder where I missed that pass. That was, maybe
It
there's
just
a-
happened.
Yeah, maybe he made a little error there. Some Domino's delivery there.
Yep. Just
Threw a slice underneath the car there. And just slip here and there.
a
But
little bit of Mario Kart.
a little bit of Mario Kart.
Okay, and these drivers now are putting in their laps. The front four all seem to be doing similar lap times, so we
As
will
we expected.
continue to watch that unfold, as everybody seems to be separated by about a second now from first down to fourth. 1 second gap in between everybody. And
Alexander is
it
up again.
seems-
A
a mistake
had
there
a
by
there we go.
Ethan gives Alexander back that position, and I wonder if, well, that could be it for now as far as that battle is concerned. It seems that Roper might be looking to make a challenge on Mitchen, as he is the closest to anybody at the moment, and seems to be pressing on with his race, trying to maybe be the spoke in the wheel that Rory was talking about earlier, as he is one of the threats to the top three at the moment. And we will see what he has to offer in terms of pace here to try and match Mitchen. But Mitchen seems to be pulling out that gap, making some headway in terms of taking the advantage back. So we should be getting about 26, maybe 27 laps of racing here this evening. The driver's doing about a minute 40. And that being said, 27 laps over 40 minutes could prove to, that's a long race. So lots of time for things to happen. And like I said, the pit strategy could play a role.
I'm sorry, I stepped away for a second. I blinked my eyes and okay, so okay.
No, it was a glitch of some
It was a
sort.
glitch
I
of
noticed
some-
it happen, and I was like, there was no magical, teleport button that he pushed. Some glitch took place, and positions still as they stand. Everybody looking comfortable. Moss seems to be checking out at
So
the head
let's
of the
go.
pack.
Can we go on board with Moss and see what he's doing?
We are on board with Moss,
Let's give him a chase.
as he
Do
is
one
on.
lap with him and see what he's doing versus the competition. I mean, they're not even in his rearview mirror.
Yeah, no, I mean, he is just checking out, taking his position and running away with this race, as he's on the run up to turn 7 now. And I think maybe he's just started more aggressive in terms of his race pace, as opposed to everybody else seems to be coming up to grip still. And the infamous turn 8 that I had mentioned, where it is literally just, look at that, barely a lift there from Kurt Moss through that section. So, just nerves of steel from Kurt here.
He
Maybe
seems not to be afraid of using the curves.
no, and maybe
Whereas
that
the other
new equipment-
competitors use it, seems to unsettle their car. So they're not.
Absolutely, and I guess it's just a matter of knowing how to use the curves. So the top 5 all still maintaining reasonable gaps, but 6 and 7 seem to have fallen away from the rest of the field already. Mr. Easton and Mr. Alexander having a rough go of it to start this event. But we will see if the pit strategies can bring anybody back into contention. And Jaden and Moss almost matching each other for pace. Mitch and Wallace in 4th seems to be finding his groove as well, doing a 140.1 on the last lap, and is right in the rearview mirror of Mr. Mark Anthony Eaton. And we will see where he starts to look to make that move, as I do not think this section of track is where you can look to make anything stick. So maybe as they're on the run up to the crest to head towards turn 6, we will see if maybe coming out of turn 6, which is one of the zones we mentioned that a move is possible at, if he can get anything done there. So nothing to be done in this section of track, not close enough at the moment it seems. However, we will continue to monitor that gap, as those two drivers seem to be close together. I see Harrison closing back the gap to Mr. Moss. That gap previously was 2.5 seconds. It is now down to 1.3. And I guess all of these drivers.
What would you think is explaining the seesaw? Is it mistakes on the the part of Moss, or is Harrison pushing them?
I think it might be mistakes because, like we've been talking about, this is one of those endurance tracks where your concentration has to be on point all the time. The drivers use a very wide line going towards turn 11 there.
Yes, I was wondering about that myself because I know in Formula One that's actually the pit entrance.
It
and
is.
I know there's a regulation in terms of crossing over the pit entrance line, but apparently, apparently you're allowed to do this.
As a wise man once told me,
There we go,
Mitchell might be looking to get the run up the hill here.
There we go.
Eaton seems to have run a little wide there, opening the door for Mitch and Wallace, who does not hesitate to take that position, and we have moved on just like that. And as we were talking about,
But it's not done yet. It's still close.
Absolutely, and
These two magnets just.
Eaton might be driving an angle there, looking to take that position back. And as we mentioned, coming out of this corner, we could get some competition for the run up to turn 7. Let's see what these drivers are doing here. Eaton is right with him, and does he dare try to outbrake him through here? No, he's just gonna bide his time.
Eastman just moved up in one position. That's great. I
It
don't know.
seems Roper might have made a mistake there, as he is now down to 6. And given the gap he had to those two drivers, it must have been a mistake that dropped him back down.
Alexander is 10 seconds off there. So maybe he just needs to kind of just a bit more confidence. He's got the points. He doesn't have to, or maybe his strategy is that he wants pole for the sprint race.
Well, I'd like to think you try and take as many points as you can out of the feature race, as that's where the big money points are. But as we still ride along with these two drivers, still locked in battle here. They are
Yes, at
so close.
7th place, he'd only get 6 points.
Indeed.
And if he won the sprint race, he would have 8. So, but we know how aggressive the top drivers are during the sprint race.
Absolutely.
They literally take the sprint race concept to Mitchin making
Same mistake.
same mistakes here, but Eaton not able to capitalize on that.
I do believe Mitchell has had his car in the right position there to prevent any look from Mark Anthony.
Mission breaks really late. Once he goes over, everyone breaks before they go over the hump.
No, they don't. Everybody lifts going over the hump.
No,
All of
I
the
see the brake
braking.
lines of Eden, so I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know. Lots of the drivers don't brake going over that hump.
Let's stick on it. Let's see him go through the next.
Yeah, as I mean, that is the battle right now. So I mean, not much else going on. Everybody else seems to be comfortable in their position. So, so
Harrison
this is
dropped back 2.5 seconds.
indeed, and that gap just seems to be fluctuating in terms of I guess the consistency of these drivers around the circuit. But yeah, no, I mean, we will continue to see this battle and again the exciting battle at the moment. And it still just looks so odd to me every time they take that line through turn 11. As we were talking about it before, a wise man once told me to push the track as far as it will go, and as long as it's not going to penalize you for it, keep doing it. So I guess that's the strategy they're employing at the moment. So as we are on the run up to turn 2.
Moss just turned in the fastest lap according to the computer. I think he's playing for revenge. He got penalized last event. I guess he thought that win was his, and it's, even though it was just a sprint race, but a victory is a victory. So,
And he is currently the only driver to have already broken into the 139s.
yes, which it was. Oh, there's a nice slide right there. Okay, so is this your what we're looking for, Andrew? Where
It
breaking?
it just went.
It just went,
But he did it a little bit later on, down to the top of the room. But I think, I don't know, strategy-wise, based on his current run, I think he should just take a step back and wait, because he has a tendency to overdrive whenever he's chasing.
Well, sometimes the old red mist, as they call it in the UK, it comes up. But see, the problem there in the chicane there, but really, really close. But Mission holding his line, keeping his car as wide as possible. You know, having seen an AMG GT in real life, I can tell you it's not a narrow car. So, you know.
Eaton trying to look every which way to see if he can find them.
He needs to be careful because if he overdrives now, even if he passes Mitchen will still have the pit strategy over him because the car's gonna be finished at that point. The tires at least based on your.
That actually brings up the point the question I wanted to pose to you two gentlemen. The pit window has been open for about 4 minutes. I can't speak to what the driver's strategies might have been, but do you maybe change tack here, take an early pit stop, see if the tires will take it to the end?
You're too close to it. Is this the okay? So this is what we're talking about here with Mitchen. Is he gonna brake earlier? Is it up here?
Right. Yeah.
It's Eaton.
Mitchen does not
but
brake at all.
Okay. So Mitchen is oh, and look at that nice drift. He's losing a bit of time there. So so Mitchen is pushing the amount of testosterone within his body to the maximum because he's not braking.
Yeah, man. I noticed it earlier on. I said, no, maybe it was just a glitch or something. Lap after lap, there's no brake light until the weight of the car comes back down over the hill.
Like I said, I think different drivers do it differently.
I would hope so.
Most of the onboards I've looked at, nobody really brakes. They lift, going to the crest, and then brake as they hit the other side. So I guess that might be Mitchen's line, and maybe that's.
And you can see the difference here because Mitchen's line through the chicane is not as good as Mark's.
Yeah.
But and then Mark has a line here, but Mitchen keeps his car, as wide as possible here. He's hogging the line. My thing is, do you think he's racing defensively at this point, or is he just simply running his own?
To some degree, I think he is because, as you stated there, Eaton has been taking some of the corners and getting the run on at the exit of the turn. So at one point, he's in his own race when the gap is fairly wide enough, but in those corners, I think his mindset changes to defense.
As we were riding along with this battle, as Eaton getting still wide there going into turn 5, Ropo did get the position back on Kimani East 1 and is checking out a couple of seconds from the number 6, the driver in 6th position. So
what was Eastman's points last event?
So Eastman came out of last event tied on 11 points with Tavar Clark, and is close to Jason Alexander. So if he finishes here, he takes over, I think, 4th position. Well,
so Jason should be the one that's worried here. He should be really pushing to try and catch his speed.
Indeed, but does this now land
At the line?
No, and I'm telling you, every time I watch them go through that section, it is literally heart in mouth, trying to figure out. When people look up race line in the dictionary, yep,
that's a line.
Yep. And I think now looking at the positions currently, I think that puts Mitchen fairly in the contention to move him up to about 4th position. Should he maintain this position and then take some points in the sprint race as well?
Yeah, and again, it's his first race, so to go from 0 all the way to 4th in the points, potentially, again, this is what I'm saying about this event. It's not over. You still have a huge amount of points going, and I'm not sure if I would think any competitor who opts to join next week, the next event would be okay, but I mean, because the next event would literally be almost halfway there. So again, we still have a lot of points in hand, but I think this is sort of the breakaway point for anybody who's really serious.
Absolutely, and we are missing 2 drivers who did participate in the first race in Tavar Clark and Davil Park. There is a replacement for Michael McName, who has not yet driven in this competition. His spot will be taken by Nathan Bryan.
Yes, I saw Nathan driving on the the server. He was really, really fast. Sorry that he was unable to make it for this event. I think he would have been another excellent addition and foil to this group.
Indeed.
So I look forward to in 2 weeks' time when he does
having a moment there coming out of turn 9. Just can't seem to.
There you go. And that's a 2 minute gap, right? That's, sorry, 2 second gap, 2 minutes. I'm checking my wrong watch. So,
and he is the first driver to pull the trigger.
As they would say in BTCC, he's the first to clinch. But I'm going to assume that he believes the issue is his tires at this point.
Yes, and if once he exits this the pits now, he's definitely going to have to give up the chase mentality and preserve it till the end, because if he continues to drive like this, he's going to continue to lose time, as I was saying earlier. You know,
Yeah,
once he's chasing, it's
This is
really aggressive.
this isn't even the halfway mark.
Yeah,
Technically.
yeah, he has to ease back.
You have 20. You'd have 20. Yeah, that's 25 minutes on the set of tires.
A question, Chad. You said the pit window closes 1 minute before the race ends.
Indeed.
Oh.
So I think this could actually be a good strategy from Mark Anthony Eaton. You know, following also creates some amount of
He comes out
tire.
behind.
But then this is where you don't want to be. You don't want to be behind the slow
There we
driver.
go. So there's Eastman, the Domino's car in front.
Indeed. So
That was a Okay, that was a 21-second pit stop
Just to change the tire.
just to change the tires.
yeah.
So clearly he needs the Red Bull level sort of pit crew. Just kidding. No, so we'll gauge that with the rest of the other drivers. Well, I mean, it should be the same because they're all basically going to be doing the same thing, just pulling in, driving the same distance at the same speed, and you're just changing tires. Unless somebody has a strategy in terms of fuel. You know, as I said, I've learned with Mitchin, one of his strategies is to run his car with a lower fuel load to make it lighter so that he can get a few milliseconds here or there over the competition.
Given the track, I think it might help because, you know, lighter weight also makes the car more maneuverable. So,
But here's something, Andrew. It's getting later. Is the track temperature is going to drop and help tire life?
Well, that may actually play into Eaton's favor somewhat for probably extend the life of his tires if he does exit and decide to say, hey, you know, I need to catch everyone else right now. But in terms of car performance, by the way, I know this is not ACC, but generally, you know, throughout a race, your engine, I wouldn't say it's like 25% like the performance drops, but you know, the constant heat and things, you know, expanding, contracting, whatever. Does stints affect engine life in the race in this platform?
I'm not sure if it's turned on at this point.
I don't think
there's engine. I don't think there's.
I think the damage is very limited in terms of what.
Yeah,
what
I think
damage
there's
is
just if you
applied.
overshift or whatever.
Right.
There's no degrading of the engine performance as well. So it's either you just mess up and misshift and destroy it.
But so for this strategy to play into Eaton's favor much, I think he needs to very quickly dispatch of
Yes.
Mr. Kimani
For
Easton
sure. Drive his
and
own
get a
race.
move on in terms of getting into some clean air and just putting in consistent lap times to try and bring the gap down to.
Can we switch to the man at the lead? So, Mr. Moss, I don't know what button he's pressed on his new steering wheel. Maybe it has rocket launch or something, but he has literally checked out. He's literally 3 seconds.
He's
2.8.
he's making time for that just in case the penalty comes. Oh, 5 seconds. Then I'm still ahead. I still got my position. So, well,
You know, he's trying to reassert his dominance here. Yeah.
or it could be the new phone, you know, jet equipment.
Well,
that made us
let me tell you what. On Friday we had the Jaden Harrison takeover of the JSRA IG page. Maybe he wants that himself. So maybe next Friday he wants to be able to scroll up on the IG page and see that he's plastered all
Oh,
over.
so you
it.
mean,
So-
oh, okay.
Welcome to the chat, Mr. Bentley. We'll see you. And yes, I would be inclined to agree with you. There might be an aspect somewhere there. the steward might have to check him after this event. But yeah, no, Kurt Moss has definitely checked out 3 seconds ahead of Mr. Harrison, who is trying desperately to keep that gap down.
Sorry, I had to check my phone. Mr. Spence, your review of the donut?
I haven't actually had it as yet. I mean, Chad beat me to it, but I noticed there are 2 boxes, and he has the plain and I have the assorted. So as long as he stays over that time, we're good.
Oh, I certainly don't think that's We'll get to the remit.
All right, Mr. Dillon, your review of the crispy cream?
Oh no, certainly they are delicious. You know, they're well done.
Okay.
The glaze is nice. They are. Yeah, no, I see myself going home with a little bit of diabetes this evening, but you know, that's sometimes you have to live a little.
Mission Wallace, now in the pits. Oh, we couldn't believe the time it.
Oh yeah, yes. It's a 50-second stop.
50 seconds.
Complete. So let's
He'll be
see.
3 seconds ahead of Eaton when he comes out, or
Well,
less.
let's see what that gap is when he does reemerge,
Oh boy.
and the fight could be right back on immediately.
There we go. 40, 43, 44, 45,
Yeah, he
46,
seems to have messed
47,
up.
48, 49.
There could be something might be going on here at Mitchen's pit
Oh yeah,
stop,
something's not
Something's
right.
right there. See?
Yeah.
as Eaton is now gone,
Something's wrong.
and
Something-
Mitchen still has not moved.
Well, I saw him move a little. Oh, what's this?
Maybe he didn't go into his pit.
So I remember some
Oh,
time
boy.
ago, Andrew, you had
Oh,
mentioned
boy.
a situation that
Oh.
takes place
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
with your pit stops where you have to go back and then drive
Yeah.
forward in order for the pit to take place. I think that might be what has just
Wow, a
happened. to
twist
Mr.
in the
Wallace.
story that we just and we saw this last event where
Yeah.
Eden made an error in his pit stop. So, or maybe the car not give him.
We will check back on Mr. Wallace in a while because he still has not moved. Still in the pits, as Jane now takes his pit stop as well.
Okay, let's hope this goes well.
I'm not sure what's going on with Mitchen there, but
He seems to just be
he's
stuck.
now
He's
falling out of
Yeah,
contention.
he's
Pit
gonna be
stop.
out of it at this point.
He's in pit stop nightmare.
Out of it at this point. That is very
And let's see what
unfortunate.
happens here. We're going
Shades
30.
of Valtteri Bottas.
There we go. Maybe he has a Ferrari pit stop crew.
Hold on, why is the time? So here, double pit? Why is the time reset?
No, this is Jaden.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry.
There we
And
go. He
there
gets
goes
out.
Wallace.
So
man.
Jaden gets out with a 47. Okay.
And Wallace is still not showing as pit stop completed, so some drama there. And we will get the updates for you as time progresses. But
Yeah, so while we're between the breaks, we'll check with the stewards and see what exactly happened there. Unfortunately, these things do happen, as we said, here and there. And we've seen it in Formula One. It just takes one pit stop to
ruin the
to
whole
ruin
race.
your race. But again, we still have another race available. There's no pit stop, and again, there's still the option.
Sorry to cut you, Rory. You remember yesterday during
You're
the
not
practice-
sorry to cut me. You just want to cut me.
Well, yeah, that. But the practice session yesterday, Chad. You remember when I said that when you asked me about the predictions, I said I didn't want to make a prediction on Eaton because he generally fulfills it during the race, and then towards the end of the race he throws it away, or not throws it away. Well, whatever happens. And I didn't want to do this for Mitchen because I said it, and I did it, and he was in third for all this time, and look at what happened. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm allowed the drivers to just race and say, at the end I say, yeah man, I knew you would have come like this.
Can't say that, man.
No, I can't. It's not like El Presidente on the camera. If El Presidente comes now and clicks on any one of these drivers, they're going to spin. It happened all
Your
day
fans
yesterday.
demand that you commentate. You know.
No,
that.
I don't want to ruin the race.
I'm quite sure that if you said you're not going to do this, the amount of DM messages you would get.
I'm saying.
In a
So,
few
I
hours.
mean, why would you dare try to
You guys are the hosts with the most.
I'm saying
Hashtag. You
you
can't
guys-
just put news like that out on the. I mean, You want people to kill themselves, knowing that you won't be commentating their favorite event?
No, it's what it's gonna double when I don't say anything. I guarantee you.
What kind of commentator would you be if you don't predict a little bit of controversy here and there? But,
I just want to see these guys do well. You know what I mean?
no, I
want
absolutely
to
agree with you. But boy, Michel's race has come undone, and I do feel for him here. But you'll see.
Well, do you think he will make it back up to fifth? Enough time?
Here's the question. What's now the status on his pit stop, because it's still registered as not complete.
Oh boy.
So
Yeah.
he's already taken a pit stop double the length of what it should have been, and still has a pit stop to go. But we're not going to make any assumptions here. The stewards will have to clarify for us what happens after this, and we don't know the full story, so we'll get some updates as time progresses.
Yeah, barring the stewards, if left up to the game, he's gonna, even if he finishes fifth, he's gonna have a penalty.
But Mr. Moss is now in the pits, and Jaden is 44
44
seconds.
Well, now the thing is, do you get a DNF or do you just get a time penalty?
You get the time
think,
penalty.
yeah.
Okay,
but
so
in the
here's
case
what I
of-
would do. Well, just
finish the
blast
race.
it, finish the race. I suspect if you're faster and past them, the time penalty won't drop you back below.
Question: What are we assuming the time penalty is? Because the pit stop is 50 seconds.
I mean, either
So-
way, he's in last position at the moment. So.
Oh,
Well, here's the next question, gentlemen. Does he have enough fuel left on board to complete the race?
That's a good point.
Well,
Considering you said he usually
well,
rolls that
we're assuming that he took a fuel strategy. I'm gonna.
Well, the top four running have all pit. Everybody else still has pit stops to go. The pit window will remain open until the last minute, so they do have time. And we will see if there's any more drama to come. But as it stands now, the drivers seem to be reserved to their positions for the moment. Jaden Harrison 4 seconds adrift of Mr. Moss, who is comfortably leading this race and continues to show his dominance around Sonoma Raceway.
And more importantly, Mr. Spence has taken his first donut. I'm going to interview you, Mr. Spence. What donut did you take?
I don't.
This is a Blaze chocolate sprinkle.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you
chocolate.
specifically aim for this one,
I was
or
doing-
you just put your hand in the box and hope that's what you
I
get?
was doing some math, so it was the only one left, so I figured I'd take it so nobody else could get it. Pole position.
Well, yes, Mr. Spence, your review on the donut.
My only
Because you're eating it faster than the drivers are driving, you know.
I have it, this is my comfort food at this point because I ruined Michel's race. So I have to, eat this. The only complaint I would say is that it took too long to bring it here, so it's no longer warm. But other than that, I'm grateful. So thank you very much, sir, Mr. Daly.
All right, well, what I'll do next time I'll have a toaster oven ready.
That will make it a lot better.
Mr. Wallace, I'd just like to point out that the commentator did admit to ruining your race.
Yes, I did.
So
I
you're
did.
looking for
Because-
anybody to blame? Check Andrew Spence.
But Mr. Dillon was the one who forced the issue because I told him
Oh my.
specifically I did not want to make a prediction
So
because
like a little bit of
So-
blame shifting there.
So is that Jason Alexander in front of him there? So he does have, or is it he's a lap down? Is that what it's saying?
It is saying that he is a lap down.
So
I'm not sure if he should still be a lap
he
down.
would have to unlap himself to get back to. Oh no, it's one lap down to the leader.
To the leader, right?
Okay.
He should
So-
still be in contention
Yeah.
to.
So that car in front of him is Jason Alexander.
Right.
So Yes, his aim should now to be get as far ahead as he possibly can. He has the pace. I don't know if this situation has just, we don't know if the situation has, sort of maybe given him a little bit of disinterest, and he's just trying to finish out the race, or is he gonna just get it on and try and squeeze as much
we will
positions out
also
of it as he
see
can?
what comes of it when Eastman and Alexander take their pit stops. If that.
Oh yes, that's right. They haven't
yeah.
taken their pit stops.
Right, so that,
Okay.
that should bring him back into contention
Yes,
for
okay.
maybe fifth position. So we will see how that goes when they do come in off of those tires. So
Yes, that's interesting. Yeah, the game is saying they haven't pitted yet, or maybe they pitted and there's an issue as well.
Sorry, Rod, is it aside from the tire, is the pit stop itself is mandatory, or they have to change tires
the
and gas?
tire strategy is mandatory.
Tires, okay.
Refueling not so much necessary. Refueling is optional, but a tire change is absolutely required. If the tire change is not done, your pit stop is not complete. As
Okay.
we saw with Mark Anthony Eaton last week, having not had his tires changed and had to go in for a second stop, which cost him, I think, second position in the race.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
So literally anything can happen, but at the end of the day, it's always the cream of the crop at the top of the. But we know now that Mission is a viable threat to everybody here. So we know whatever happens this race, we know we're going to sort it out in the sprint race. Also, 2 weeks he's going to work out and figure out.
No, it's just unfortunate that his coming out party got cut short there because he did look to be in contention for third place, which would have put him squarely in the mix, of course.
A podium on your event
Yeah.
debut, yes.
Oh, what's the points allotted for seventh?
I
The
believe
points
it's
for
4
seventh
points.
is 6.
6 points.
6. So ideally he could leave today with 6 plus 20 what?
No, 6 plus 8 would be 14.
Yes, because here's what the situation is, and you might sound like we sound like it's the end of the world. But if he finishes last, it's a reverse grid.
Yeah, that's
so
what I'm
he's
saying.
on pole.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
Okay.
he has the ability. If he plays his card right,
Oh,
because here's what's going to happen. He's going to be on. He's one of the faster drivers. He's on pole. The other drivers are going to have to
Still
deal with
have
the
to come
traffic.
from
They're going to
feet,
deal with Alexander Eastman and Roper between him and Eaton and Harrison and Moss. So depending on how fast those three at the back dispatch the three in the middle, a mission could potentially.
Also, for consideration, them battling amongst each other while
Yes,
trying to.
and we know how that goes between Eaton and Harrison. Yeah.
So yeah, well, again, he can still walk away from this weekend hypothetically with about 14 points if things go as they're going now and all goes well in the sprint race. So we can still see where he falls coming out of this event. And, again, still 5 races to go following this. So time to make up is still there, but it just becomes a little bit more difficult given the situation.
What did Mr. Penley say there in the chat?
Oh, he was asking if a wheel nut seized on Mitchell's car. Shades of Valtteri Bottas Monaco, I think
No,
that was
he's-
2019,
Yes,
2021.
no, Mitchell is using the Ferrari pit crew.
And so as we are progressing here, we
Okay,
have-
I was just about to ask about this. I wanted to see what the
track cuts were.
track cuts were. But Mr. Alexander, just like he did the last event, has got a drive-through penalty for cutting the track. So he's gone past the 5. So I don't know. It's a situation where he once again is pushing beyond.
So Jaden is on 3, Kale is on 3, and Kimani is on 2. Jason has received his penalty. Mitchen seems to be on 1. So yeah, I think the only other driver to watch to be penalized is Kale, who is on 3, I think it is.
He's got 2 more before.
Before he can. Jaden and Kale, both on 3.
So maybe that's why Harrison's backed off.
Yeah, Rory. Chad was saying that during his experience on the track is that it's actually worse or more, you're more susceptible to violating track limits more so than at Imola and Kailami.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought
Yeah,
that.
I wouldn't have thought that either, but according to him, it's a lot more
I
strenuous.
don't think that's what I said. I said the track limits themselves are a little more strenuous in that it's the yellow lines, whereas on other circuits you might get a little bit more room to play with. But on this track, it's once you are outside of the yellow lines with all 4 tires, that's track limits. So the track limits themselves are tighter. It's not necessarily easier to invalidate, but you have less track limits to play with. And I think the corner that makes you very susceptible is turn 7, that hairpin coming off the drag strip. Because if you run wide at that hairpin, it counts as track limits even though
Okay.
and you know, a wider line would be of assistance. So, but yeah, so if you look at a lot of the drivers, at least 2 wheels do go outside of track limits at turn 7. But it is, as we're riding on board with Harrison, well, it'll be a while before he gets there, but when he does get there, I'll point it out to you. But I think that's the most susceptible corner, because anywhere else you run wide, it's grass, right? You don't want to be wide out there.
And these cars seem to not exactly enjoy the curves.
They don't enjoy the curbs and they don't enjoy the grass.
Ooh. Who's this? Harrison?
Yes,
Oh,
it's Harrison.
that's nice.
So clearly he hasn't given up. He's still pushing.
Yeah, definitely. You can see he's pushing.
I think Moss, however, is comfortably out. So he's on the run now up to turn 7, and you will notice when he gets to the braking zone, braking at the 300-meter board, to at least, well, he's very tight there. On
Ooh.
As Jason Alexander having a spin there as Harrison was going by. That has lifted Mitch and Wallace up into 6th. And we will see if he does gain another position to Kimani.
Well, did Jason make an error there, or did he have some help?
Well,
We have to go back and see and hear if that's what the situation was. He close enough, or
I don't
do you
think he was, however.
Okay. All right, no problem.
If necessary, he will be on the radio to the stewards to kind of,
And Mr. Dillon just made a play for the donuts again.
you know, it was a test. It was just a check to see what's happening.
Feel free. They're all yours. They're here for you. That's why they were purchased.
We appreciate it very much, Mr. Daly. Still not sure what's going on with the pit stop situation for Eastman and Alexander. I know Wallace will have the answer to the stewards as to what happened on his pit stop, but as for Eastman and Alexander, I don't know. I didn't recall seeing them go into the pits, but it's strange to think they're still. I mean, with 3 minutes to go, what are they waiting for? If they actually have not yet been. Outside of that, I guess we will be getting some clarity on that from the stewards post-race to kind of get an understanding of what's taken place. Something to bring up from the last race, gentlemen, that would have changed going forward is, as Rory mentioned at the top of the stream, the spectacular fashion in which Jaden Harrison's race ended.
no.
Jaden Harrison was allowed to keep his victory despite the fact that he had, whether it was an internet issue or a game glitch, whatever it was, that kind of caused him to lose connection to the server for about 10 seconds, which then resulted in, when he did reconnect, he was off the track in some bush. He was allowed to keep that
That's
position.
putting it lightly. Let's say he pushed the concept of gravity to its maximum.
The map
But
limit.
continue.
That is a fair assessment, Mr. Daly. But yeah,
So Jason Alexander disqualified.
Oh wow.
he did not take his drive-through penalty.
Okay. Sorry to hear that. Missing out on some extra points there. Again, he would have gotten 6
6
points.
points, yeah.
When you're disqualified, does the oh no, he can't at all enter the sprint.
We can.
Oh, he can. Okay.
Oh, just that means is he gonna start last? Okay, all right.
First, he decided.
Sorry, he's gonna start. So this might, yeah. Well, then again, okay. So he'll start first, then Wallace will be second on the grid. So Wallace's strategy still might work here. He's still gonna. So if I was Mitchin right now, I would just back off. You got a minute. You're not gonna finish the lap.
Oh, so you mean okay.
Back off and take the second place. There's no sense in trying to catch Eastman.
Agreed. So yeah. Right. So going back to
What, Mitchin just went straight back to the pits?
well, as he is technically in last place with no chance of Jason Alexander passing him, better to get his pit stop done correctly.
Oh, that's right.
To not have to worry about any transferring
Penalties.
to the stewards,
Okay.
which is I think smart at this point.
Why worry about the stewards? They can figure that out later in this
Well,
in the room.
does it then dock him some points if he did not
Well,
take?
let's
that
see if
pit
it
stop?
works, functions properly this time.
He's still stuck there for
I
quite
don't think
some
he
time.
has enough. Does he have enough time? Yes, about.
Yeah.
Well, there is a lap to
well,
go
that's
when
not-
time
okay,
elapsed,
yeah, okay.
and it's based on the leader, not based on where he is on track.
He should be out there by 47.
Yeah, let's see.
No.
Should be getting going
Not
any moment
functioning.
now.
51 is usually.
51. Why is it taking? Maybe he's taking fuel.
I don't know. This is very strange.
Oh,
Or it's a strategy that he wants to take the first place.
Maybe he's just gonna sit in the pits for the remainder of the competition.
But he won't get it. I mean, the DNF is gonna have precedence.
Well,
He will
no,
have
he'll
to-
just finish 2 laps down is all it will be, and he'll just stay in the pits for the remainder of the event. So it's
Oh well, Alex. Oh, I see what you're saying. So there's no point in doing
right.
anything.
So yeah, I mean he can just sit there,
Yeah.
take the
Okay.
2 laps down. He still finishes in 6th position, and all is well as far as his race goes.
Okay,
That-
so a
that
little
looks like-
birdie just told me that he's literally okay. Basically, he's gotten a penalty, and for just going back to the
Jumping,
pits,
yeah.
jumping back to the pits. So at this point, that's basically it. But I don't think he kind of loses here.
Yeah, he's still been second. I mean, I don't think anything beats
Yeah,
a
and
DNF.
he still get his points
Right.
for
okay.
sixth.
So yeah, again, may not have been such a bad idea at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, because I remember watching. I don't. Well, again, I'm a big touring car fan. So in the WTCC, they had a rule where they would reverse the grid up to eighth. So what would happen with a lot of drivers who are from 5th to 6th is that they would literally slow down on the last lap with each other, trying to get the pole position and finish that. You would see it all the time where the drivers would just 3 or 4 drivers would just come straight to the line and they'd slow down, and then they just they'd be jostling with each other to drive as slow as possible over the finish line to try and get the last position so they could get the pole on the pole position in the next race.
Okay.
So again, maybe that's a strategy to work out. At the end of the day, the most important thing for him, for Mitchin, is that he's getting points. Jason not gonna get any points from this race, unfortunate. So let's hope he gets some points from the sprint race.
Yeah. So
Mr. Moss has.
as we are here at the end of the feature race, Mr. Moss going through turn 11, that was turn 10, my apologies. Turn 11 and then turn 12 to go for him to take victory here in the feature race. And once again, the same 3 suspects are 1, 2, and 3. However, in different positions this time.
Mr. Moss flashing his lights.
And
Making
there he
sure-
goes taking
celebrating
victory.
his victory.
Jaden Harrison will be coming home to take second just now,
25 juicy points.
followed by Mark Anthony Eaton, who is now coming home to take third position and crosses the line now to take third. Kelvin Ropo will come home in fourth.
Good points for
Well
him.
done, yeah.
Good points for him. And he has moved himself past Alexander.
Well done. Well,
And Mr. Moss has taken half a point for pole position, remember. And I believe he also has the fastest lap, so has taken that point as well.
If I remember correctly, this is they call this the trifecta.
The Grand Slam, indeed.
Yes, the Grand Slam. So he got pole position, he led every lap, and he posted the fastest lap. Okay. Are we seeing a dominance appearing at this point? Or is there still hope for the rest of the pack? you think?
Words to El Presidente, go check the wheel there because we would like to know what Mr. Mossip has working with over there, because clearly that new wheel is.
yeah, it made a big difference if Jaden was, consistent on his regular pace throughout.
I mean, to win by 7 seconds
Yeah.
comfortably, given how close the last race was.
You know what would be an interesting race? Rodriguez versus Moss.
I was thinking the
I would
same
love
thing.
to see that.
I was thinking the same thing.
Give it a little time.
Maybe we should invite Mr. Rodriguez to chase for pace.
Who's to say?
That? A good idea.
We will see what is on offer going
I
forward.
noticed that Mr. Rodriguez's name is Freddie with one D because he's been giving everybody these nuts.
Oh there. Oh there.
That was Rory Daly. Just to confirm to everybody. Yes, okay.
Mitch and Wallace has remained in the pits and will take the +3 laps. So he's finished 3 laps down and will take that, given that he's been promoted a position from 7th to 6th. Has no change to a DNF, and I'm not sure why.
Okay,
The steward room will work all of that out, and we will get the details for you going forward.
Is he still in the pits?
Yes,
Yes,
he
he's
is.
still in the
He
pits.
never-
Oh,
he
maybe
never
that's why.
But as we said, we will confirm what's happening with the stewards and revert to the public.
a good showing,
Definitely.
but at the end of the day, again, his first event, so maybe there's some issues here and there. He'll work that out because I mean, again, several of the other drivers had one driver had an issue the last event. So
As you said, Rory, barring
So we will be back in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. We're taking a small break to get the second race set up, and we'll be back with you momentarily.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on
We're back with Andrew. You're about to tell us, share some wisdom.
But not necessarily wisdom on my part, but probably wisdom some of these drivers need to, take account, because barring it being a technical issue, meaning a game glitch or something, as you stated earlier, they really need to focus on their pit strategy, meaning making notes of it, whether it be fuel, tire, entries, the entry speed, because this is... Have we had a race without a pit incident?
No, we haven't. We have not. We either have somebody missing their pit window, somebody
Going too fast.
somebody missing the pit entrance altogether.
And whilst we are waiting for the start of the sprint race, we have a Domino's coupon on offer for anybody in the chat who is in Jamaica. We should specify.
Yes, this is a local code. Basically, you when you order online, you can just type in the coupon code. This is what, $1,000 off?
Indeed.
That's a lot of pizza.
And the question to win, and the winner will be the first person to respond in chat. The question is, who won the sprint race of the first event? So we are looking for the winner of the sprint race in week 1's event, and the first person to answer will win said coupon.
Good by me. So, Mr. Spence again making a run for the donut.
How was that one with the filling? This one is
All right. What should you want?
It's chocolate glazed with
Which
cream
one you want?
cheese
Filling?
cream cheese.
So there's one here, and there's one there.
I'm kind of scared. I don't always.
You don't mind?
No, fine.
It's good.
Take it.
Yep.
If you don't like it, you can throw that El Presidente.
True.
I love how even when it's not El Presidente's fault, El Presidente gets thrown under the bus. But yeah, here we are, and we are now awaiting the start of the sprint race. Remember, it is a reverse grid, so the drivers will simply line up in the position opposite to where they finished in the main race.
And as such, now I'll throw the question to you. What's your prediction for this reverse grid?
I'm gonna. Sorry, Chad.
I guess I'll answer first, and then Mr. Daly can give his political answer.
No, won't be politics.
So I expect Mitch and Wallace to take first position somewhere around turn 2 and run away with the sprint race, whilst the Swift trio from 5 down to 7 fight it out to get up to second position. Who it will be, my money is on Mr. Moss, who was comfortably dominating the field, to take second position, and Eaton to finish third, because I don't think anybody is getting past that barrier. I mean, that man is the defensive wizard. I think he can build a moat behind his car, and you cannot get through that moat to get in front of him. So he might hold on to get ahead of the 2 in front of him to take third. But I think Kurt Moss looking very unstoppable today, so I do expect him to get ahead of the competition. Not necessarily to catch Mitchell, however.
Well, he's got a record. He's got the Grand Slam. Again, just to go through, fastest lap, pole position, won the race, and led every lap. All right. So I'm not going to give a political answer. I'm going with my money's on Mitchell here. He's just as fast as the front crew. He had an error with his pit stop. There's no pit stop here. And they're clearly between him and the back of the pack. There really is no, there's going to be some issues there in terms of trying to get through that. But so we're on the grid now. Mr. Spence?
No, I'm not. Anything this time. I'm waiting it out.
And just firmly believing in the commentator's turn.
Yes,
So, second, I'm going to go with Moss. Again, I think he'll probably get through the field given his pace. He has no problem with his racecraft. I'm
A note
not
here,
sure about
gentlemen.
Eaton and Harrison. I think you went third with Eaton. I'm gonna go with Harrison here. I know that Eaton has the ability to stave off anybody, but we've seen him and Harrison battle before. So here we go. Lights out in 6.
And we are riding on board
Lights
the
out. Here we go.
as we get going here for the sprint event.
Mission
And
Wallace already
Mitchell
on the lead.
comfortably gets ahead. And a note here, gentlemen, as Kelvin Roper looks to be
boy.
taking second from Kimani Eastman
Okay.
right away. A clean getaway from Mitchell, and some situations going on behind here as Eastman has fallen back immediately. Jaden Harrison getting ahead.
Whoa!
Oh,
Lawnmower man right
my
there.
goodness.
As we said,
And,
some contact there between Harrison and Eaton.
Harrison.
This is gonna be all the way. Somebody.
Oh,
Ooh,
no, and there goes Kelvin Roper into
We've
the wall.
unfortunately
Oh my
seen
goodness.
this multiple times. I wonder what happened there.
Oh my gosh, just a little too early on the power coming out of
But
turn
Moss
5.
is in 4th behind this, and you know he's going to be scything through everybody like
Oh,
one through
absolutely.
9.
And just like that, once again, we are running with the same top 4 as we did to start race 1.
I
And
notice Alexander is missing from this.
indeed, I was making that point earlier, but we had some racing action to look at.
There we go. I said this car doesn't like the curbs, it doesn't like the grass. You take too much track, and you're gonna end up like that.
And we are now going to see a battle pick up here between Mark Anthony Eaton and Jaden Harrison. This gives Mitch and Wallace the perfect opportunity to check out up in front.
Yes, that was quite a line there. Maybe he.
I thought he was going into the grid so long ago.
Yeah, no, we've been watching drivers take that line all weekend, and it's just it looks nerve-wracking every time because you are quite literally on the pit entry line when you turn in.
Moss doesn't seem to be attacking. He's actually.
Yeah.
Whoa!
What a
What
dive in Harrison, and contact is made.
It got nasty there, Adrian. This is definitely going to the stewards.
Absolutely.
Kurt
and,
Moss just got handed 3rd. So, oh geez.
and there's a reason I didn't highlight that section of track as anywhere that a move could be
Okay,
made,
so-
because it's very tight through that section, and you don't necessarily have the room to maneuver additional lines. It's one line through that corner.
So Eaton is managed to keep his 3rd.
Second.
Sorry.
Well,
Yeah, sorry. He's keeping his 2nd, and Moss is in 3rd.
Martin now will be on the hunt. And this is what I mean about giving Mitchell the opportunity to just check out in front.
So these two are going to be battling each other. Eaton's probably going to be having to drive very defensively rather than.
Yes,
He's going to have to make a choice here. Do I drive defensively and hold him off? Oh, wow. Must have gotten a track cut there.
we may be in for another Kalama incident with
Yeah.
himself and Moss, where he had to attempt to hold off Moss for
There, yes.
Yep.
quite some time.
We will see now. I don't think there's any opportunity up until maybe turns 4 and 5, unless somebody gets very brave on the brakes through this section of track. But Moss seems to be right with him, and will be looking for any opportunity to stick a nose in. But I imagine Moss, a driver with his wits about him.
Wallace just clapped in the fastest lap. Not that it counts at this point, but clearly he's pushing the pace. He's still angry from his pit issue. So he's want to again assert his dominance that he has the ability to win. He's so far in the distance, we might as well be just looking at him with binoculars.
You know, it seems
Can we go to the helicopter cam so we can see everybody?
So
You're about to say something else?
Yes, so the helicopter having some issues.
Okay.
Mechanics looking at it.
Yes, I saw you crash the helicopter.
Yes, exactly.
Our budget hasn't been able to repair it yet. We had to choose between donuts or fixing the helicopter, fixing the drone.
And
Well, I
Moss
noticed-
seems to be right with Eaton here.
Yes, on the previous lap, I saw him hitting the barrier unnecessarily. This could be him succumbing to the pressure once
Of Kurt
again.
Moss.
Yes.
Yep. And he seems to be taking defensive lines here already, just to kind of hold Moss at bay. And once again, this will give Mitch and Wallace the opportunity. He needs to just drive his race, check out a few seconds.
What a line through the. You can see the Carter in him. That nobody else would take that line. He's willing to go as far out to the edge of the track, as I keep saying, use as much of the circuit until the game tells you no.
Indeed. So call back. That was the
He
wisest
just
man.
posted
I
the
was
fastest
referring
lap. We're down to the 140s now. So clearly, Moss is pushing Eaton.
Indeed. So we are watching these two do battle. All the while, I
Wow,
think
Moss.
running
That's
a
a
little bit
very,
wide.
that's a very different line.
All the while, will this now play Jaden Harrison back into
There you go.
the
So
mix?
yes, they're within view. They're going to be battling each other. They have 9 minutes. Yes.
So we might see a three-way fight for that second position if the battle does pick up between Moss and Eaton up ahead. Those two drivers will be tying each other up in terms of time whilst they're compromising lines to attack and defend, all the while giving Jaden Harrison a chance to get back into the mix.
Yes, and again, it comes down to aggressiveness. We spoke about the defining feature of this track, turns 2 and 3. You know, the ability to attack it in that section was, I know, was that something you would have done? When it's you, Chad?
I definitely do not think that was a section of track that lends itself to making that move. There is not much room to go 2x2 through that corner. You will have to heavily compromise any kind of line you would take through that corner.
Yeah, I think what happened, well, and you can tell me what happens is because of the camber on the corner, it makes it look like there's an open space because the car is off. The car is off to one side, but it's trying to turn in, so it makes it look like there's an open the apex or the inside of the
Possibly
corner
what
is turned
happened
in.
to Harris there is that he Moss drifting it through turn 2 there, holding it very nicely. We might have to look at entering Moss into any drift competitions we have coming up.
But this is bringing Harrison back into contention here.
Definitely is, and that gives Eaton a little bit of breathing room to kind of calm his nerves up and then plan for the next attack, because no doubt Moss will be back. But going back to our argument there, I think also what might have happened to Harrison is that going into that corner, it's very lift and coast up to the entry of the corner. The braking zone is very minor, and so he might have thought, you know, he could get back on the power a little bit earlier than
Is that a line or did somebody just go wide right there?
I believe Mark Anthony Eaton did just run a line. Should have got the track for it. We will see if that did register. It did, and that is the second track cut of the day.
Well, I mean, it's the last race of the day. Might as well just use all the penalties that you can.
You have 5 of them, so I think we have one.
Me, I just drive across the infield onto the other. You know, it must give me one cut warning. I'll be 2 cars ahead of everyone.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is why Rory
straight
Daly
across.
is in the straight. That is why Rory Daly is in the commentary box, ladies and gentlemen.
100%.
That's actually not a bad
I'm
idea.
the evil professor of racing. As I said, a lot of people think racing is skill, and that is true. But a lot of it is understanding the rules and regulations and abusing them to the best of your abilities.
Eaton seems to have been Eaton is getting a little squirrely here.
Yeah.
Putting the car on the grass a lot.
Oh my goodness, and that is putting Moss right back into contention here.
Why would he be squirrely? Is there something
Oh,
wrong with the
no,
tires, or
it's-
he's overheating the tires currently?
Maybe he's drifting a lot.
I think it might
Or
just
maybe he's just showing off.
might have been a lapse in concentration there, because that put Kurt Moss right back with him.
He's teasing Moss to say how fast he is that he can drift and accelerate away from you still.
I just think it's the pressure because, as I said, on the straight he just drove into the barrier. I mean, he had the entire track to himself,
Jaden Harrison just got a cutting warning himself.
Indeed. And
Well,
Harrison,
Sorry, Andrew, you're
no,
so
I finished.
Harrison not making the kind of inroads we would have expected with the battle between these two. But I guess the battle did kind of stop. However, it should be right back on now, given.
You know, maybe he feels he's okay with his points lead, and but given what's going on, I don't think he's gonna exit.
Oh, he certainly would not.
So there will be a Kurt Moss takeover of the
Absolutely.
JSRA IG on next week Friday.
And comfortably at that, because I do believe with his Grand Slam in race 1 and the points that he's taking home here now, it puts him firmly ahead of Jaden Harrison, and I think maybe at most, well, Jaden
There we
Harrison
go.
will
Moss
just-
fastest lap.
Wow.
He's not giving this up. He is like a hunting dog.
No, so I do think he,
Here we
and
go.
it looks like he will have
The run.
the run here going into this section.
I'm not sure why he keeps putting the tires onto the grass. The car is not responding well, but he continues to do it. I'm not sure.
So I think
What's
he's just
happening?
trying to find very aggressive lines, because knowing that you have Kurt Moss behind who has shown unreal pace all week, I think you're just gonna try and be as quick as you can, and maybe taking a little bit more apex than he would previously in trying to find that speed.
Let's check the chat to see the Domino's winner.
No one has
No
yet
one is-
responded.
That's fine, no problem. We're cool.
So I mean,
I'll take it if nobody wants it.
I'm saying. But we will still we await the answer for any Jamaican in the track in the chat that does want Moss having a look there, thinking better of it, not maybe having the kind of run. That is one of the places I think you might be able to make a
We're
move.
down to 3 minutes, so this is what we have 2 laps left, basically.
Just about. Well, 2 laps plus 1. So 3 laps total. And we are gonna see if maybe, I think for Moss, it's either stick with him through this section and hope he makes a mistake.
Jaden is right there now.
And Jaden has now joined this fight after all. And Mitch and Wallace, as mentioned, has completely checked out 4+ seconds
Jaden
ahead.
Harris, these guys are trading fastest laps. Jaden Harris, a 140.1. So these guys are just shaving off the milliseconds, trying to get as close as possible. As I said, there's 3 laps left.
Yep, and the fight is on for second between all 3 of these drivers as Eaton leads the pack, and
So
may
we
have
know,
to-
so we know that there's a definite strategy. If you are at a certain point in the first race, you just tank it and take the second and take the sprint race pole and just dominate.
Yeah. Seems to work.
Absolutely, if you do find yourself falling back in the main race, why not?
The donut has you seeing doubles.
I'm just wondering.
This isn't done over yet, folks. But we,
No, I do think Moss might want to have a look through one of these corners.
yeah, there we
And
go.
there it is.
There we
We're
go.
running a little bit wide, but
we seen Eden take
Still
that
managed to
chicane
hold
multiple
his
times.
car
Yes.
to prevent Moss from taking the advantage.
He's not as deep this time. He stays over. He's trying to keep.
Oh,
them.
wow.
There we go. We
Yes.
have this trick. Are we repeating the race the last time? It just seems like we're just. These guys are just like magnets. They just keep coming back together. Yeah.
Absolutely, and
Jaden Harris putting in the fastest lap again.
saving another 300ths off his previous
Yeah.
attempt. And that is, I mean, Moss is going to have to be checking his rearview mirrors as much as he's checking to kind of make the move on the car ahead. So it's getting very racy between these 3 as they look like they're joint coming through that section of the
So
track.
Yes.
the question now is that are they all fast or is it just eating the cork in the bottom?
I think at this point, Eaton. Well, if you're chasing, Eaton will be the car, but Moss has to be. Snow probably focusing on Jane.
Well, yeah, Okay, no problem.
So I do think there's something to be said for maybe the fact that Eaton might not be as quick as the two drivers behind him. He is close in terms of pace, but hasn't shown it here today. So I think maybe it's not the defense that he is offering at this stage. And I mean,
Maybe he wants to offer Kurt a donut, given how close they are. Yes, we can see when he's pushed, he doesn't get that line he wants to get through the chicane there, because we saw him when he was racing Mitchin. Previously, he was able to take the line he wants. And as
on the outside there, maybe looking to.
he's on the end. Easy.
Oh, and that opens the door for Jaden Harrison, who does not.
There we go. We have +1. What is happening there?
Contact made, all three drivers. Oh my God.
When we said NASCAR, this is not what we expected. I am. What the hell
What
happened?
happened now?
there?
It looked like who was on the inside? So I saw some
What
hard
happened?
braking.
I did not expect. Wow.
Carnage just took place between these three drivers,
It's just.
and
I don't even know what to say.
that signifies the end of
I
the race
don't even
as
know
things stand.
I don't even know what to say.
And I'm sure the stewards have their work cut out for them
Yes.
for this sprint event
Okay.
this afternoon. That is for certain.
We're lucky. We don't have to do any of that.
Well, my goodness, that is gonna be
Oh, yeah.
that is gonna be one for the,
Are we gonna see? Can we just go to? Has Wallace finished?
yeah, the race is
The
over.
race is done.
Well,
The positions stand as thus, but I'm sure the stewards room will have lots to say. And
Yeah, I'm gonna be busy during the week. You and I are we're gonna be busy during the week.
And these three drivers all finishing within half a second of each other.
So the only person technically clear here is
Mitch and
Mitchin.
Wallace.
So Mitchin goes home with that.
wait, sorry. That was the race ended there.
The race,
Okay.
absolutely.
With the
All right. So Mitchin starts with 8 points, and we're going to straight to our driver interviews, and that will be Mr. Eaton. Mr. Eaton.
Sir Eaton.
Yes, sir.
First question. What happened at the end right there? We didn't get a chance to see it on the stream. Not exactly sure. Could you take us through the final moments? What?
Nothing deliberate or anything. Just we crossed the line for the finish, and I'm exhausted, so my concentration kind of just left for a second. So by the time I looked at the radar, Kurt was already beside me, so the three of us just went off.
Oh, I actually thought that the race hadn't finished at that point.
No, the race was done.
I was asking Chad, but how did you find that race, and especially in the beginning, because I was making note about the situation between you and Mitchin, and you seem to be on more the aggressive side of things, and you pit first. Was that a matter of a simple strategy, or your tires were giving you trouble? Or
Strategy. I was a little bit faster on him, so instead of trying to close the gap down and waste the tires that are already used, I decided to pit to see if I could get him on strategy.
Okay, well, I mean, it's a good thing he did. Maybe even if you didn't, you probably would have had him, because he went into the pits, and we're not even sure what happened. He was in the pits for like 2 hours. We're not sure what that was, but I guess we'll be notified. But overall, how do you feel about this race?
It wasn't bad. Most of it was, I would like to say, a lack of pace, but really a lack of talent. Just I couldn't put together the pace to keep up with Kurt or Jaden. So I just decided to try and focus on my own race.
All right, no, back to the same question I ask you every week, because I'm curious. I really want to see you do well, so I'm going to ask you again. You have the pace. That's normal. You do have the pace. You just don't have the consistent pace when it comes to the race. What is it about racing in particular do you think that throws you off, or you haven't conquered as yet?
I don't think it's racing. It's just experience. It's doing 800 laps in practice doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna have the pace or the skill to keep up with the top guys. At the moment, I'm still learning. I've driven the track before, but it's still a very technical track, so it's just a matter of getting to grips with what I'm able to do.
Okay. And final question. It seems like you had something against the curbs. Because you were absolutely obliterating them. What were you
That's-
finding the time by?
Most of the time, yeah.
Okay. All right. Just curious. But good race, good result. Thankfully, that incident at the end wasn't, prior to the race ending.
Yeah.
So, kudos to you, and see you next week.
Yep.
All right, that was Mr. Mark Anthony Eaton with a little bit of flair to the end of that race. And we will now be talking to Mr. Mitchen Wallace. Mitchen, can you hear me?
Hey guys, yes, I can hear you clear.
All right, Mitchen, first race of the series. How are you feeling after that event?
It's a little bittersweet based on what happened in the 45-minute race. I had a little mishap. Still, I'm not able to explain what actually happened. Made the pit stop and there was nothing happening. No gas, no tires, no anything. Ended up driving back out and we saw how that ended.
Right. So, were you fueled for the entirety of the event, or was it that you ran out of fuel when you went back to the pits that at the end there?
No, I had it set up to have fuel added and also tires changed. So that was my pit strategy, but none of it happened.
Got you. But having taken the victory in the sprint there, now you sit on 16 points, which puts you in the mix, but you still have some work to do. How do you feel you'll fare throughout the rest of this competition?
Time will tell. I just need to keep putting in the time and the effort, and hopefully I'll climb up the ladder. We still have a lot of races left to go, so there's a lot of points to be gained from the rest of the races. So I'll just keep it moving.
Absolutely, and we will be seeing you for every race in the remainder of the calendar, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. And yeah, so good drive. Unfortunate how the first race went, but yeah, we look forward to seeing what comes later on.
Yeah, these things happen. Let's see how it goes, right?
All right. All right. Thanks for talking to us, Mitchen.
All right, have a good one.
You too. All right, that was Mitchen Wallace, our sprint race winner, and a little bit of catastrophe in the first event. We will be talking next to Mr. Jaden Harrison, who took fourth position in the sprint, and second position and Jaden, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, Jaden, an eventful weekend here for you. First of all, I would like to just address the fact that you have done no less than 4 hours worth of racing today. I mean, how are you still functioning, sir?
I don't know. I really don't know.
No, I mean that is no small feat, but good on you for being able to keep the concentration. So, second place in the feature race, not seeming to have the pace to match Kurt here today. What's the situation?
The car just has no grip. Coming from one sim to another sim, you just expect the car to drive different, but To me, the car just felt like it had zero grip. I could not push at all. I just didn't have enough time to adjust.
Okay. And fourth place in the sprint there, which puts you now, I believe, in second position overall behind Kurt Moss. Do you think you will fare better for the Austrian race in terms of gaining back some points towards taking back the lead?
I don't know, you know. Maybe not.
All right, and I mean, Sonoma looks like a very challenging track to drive, and you were saying that you weren't finding much grip out there today. So, you know, how did that affect your tire strategies or anything else throughout the event?
Well, the tires, within 15 minutes, the tires felt like they went through a whole hour racing. But I don't know if I was pushed too hard or the GT3 tires just skinny. But within half a race, the tires were no good for keeping up.
Noted. And I think, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but this seems to be the highest tire degradation that you've faced thus far in these races and this car.
Correct. Yes. The Sonoma have a lot of sweeping corners and a lot of high load corners.
Got you. Well, good weekend all around for you, Mr. Harrison, and we expect to see you continue on this form. So good luck in the rest of the races, and thanks for talking to us.
All right, thanks.
All right, Jaden. That was Jaden Harrison, who should now sit second in the points overall, having finished second in the feature race and fourth in the sprint. We will now be talking to the alien himself, Mr. Kurt Moss. Mr. Moss, are you hearing me?
I think you're highly mistaken with the alien part. My name is Kurt, but I'm not any alien, sir.
I mean, dominant weekend here for you, Mr. Moss. So I don't know how you're going to be disputing the alien title with the kind of weekend you've had. How are you feeling after that win?
Tired. This track gives you real workout, man. I'm done for the night. So yeah, but it was good nonetheless. Had a fairly steady race. No major mistakes. That's key here. So yeah, just keeping it on track, man.
Absolutely, and debuting your new rig here in this event seems to be working a treat.
And it actually not working as I would like. I need to tweak it some more. Today is the first I'm running with it on a set of courses, so I still need to fine tune it. So hopefully I could get it better.
I mean, if you're saying that there's more to find, God bless the rest of the grid as you continue. But yeah, so you, I now believe, have taken the lead of this competition after round 2. Any thoughts on where you now sit in the points position and any strategies going forward?
Well, all we can do is just try to win, and keep. I think Jaden is the only one like really close to me, so I just have to make sure to try to finish in front of him. That's about it, man. There's no other way.
Absolutely. Well, good luck in the remainder of the races, Kurt. Good racing here this weekend, and we look forward to seeing you in the next event.
Thanks, man, and as usual, thanks for putting on such a good event. Looking forward to the next one.
I appreciate it, Kurt.
All right, peace out.
Good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our interviews with the top 3. For the inquiry in the chat about joining this series, registration for this series is closed. We do, however, have other events that you can enter and can be a part of. You can check us on our social medias, which should now be on screen, to see what events are on offer that you can join. Namely, there is a Chase or Pace race coming up next Saturday, which is the off week for the current series at Austria. You can very easily get into that race. Just message us on any of our social medias and you will be entered into the competitions that are available. Drift events are in the pipeline, not for right now, as we have racing scheduled for the next, I think, 10 weeks. But stay tuned for schedules coming up after that 10-week period to see what events we have on offer. Again, just check our social medias. All events will be posted and you can find out what we have coming up. But so ends our stream.
Well, no, let's wrap up a little bit first before we close off. What's our takeaway from the event? Where do we see the drivers? We saw Harrison walk away last event with the race lead. Moss came back. Clearly, he's the points leader at this junction. Is this going to continue?
I do, well, based on the interviews with both of them, they both seem to have the same strategy, which is leading into both of their statements were just try to win. So I think we will be seeing them continue to battle from race to race, and it will be fun to see how this develops over the next 5 races that we have to go. But I do think this could come right down to the wire if the battles do continue to be as hot as they have been.
Andrew, the race is over, so you can speak freely. You're not going to affect any of the drivers at this point in time.
Well, at this point, I think I have 2 points. One being Eaton now will have Mitchen to contend with. So rather than having to focus on the top 2 and probably, spazzing out or losing focus, he has somebody who can probably match the pace no more consistently and can help develop his racecraft, because now the focus would have been switched. So that's my takeaway.
That's point number 1. Point number 2.
No, that's 2 of them. When I said 2, sorry, I meant for both of them. But no, the second one is the fact that Mitchen has improved to the point where now the top 4 are split between what? Half a second? 600s?
Yeah.
610s, sorry.
Yeah, so we're moving to... The joke is that we're moving to Europe at the next event, but we know from our own experience that the Red Bull, I'm sorry, let me check my records here. We're using the Red Bull Ring. The European tracks, the European circuits have a different flavor than the North American tracks. Is this going to play into a different skill level? Or is this again just a matter of whoever is focused and whoever is at the front of the field?
To be fair, until these drivers have settled with these tracks, I don't think we can make a definitive prediction, assumption currently. I mean, it's still a new series, the drivers still being exposed to different tracks, so we're seeing them in their trimester period right now. So until they've had more exposure and have settled in tracks, to the point where we're possibly repeating tracks, even though Mr. Stewart likes to challenge these drivers by introducing new tracks. I think until then it's up in the air, but during that period there are drivers that have proven themselves and are ones to watch. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, we have seen great racing thus far, and I think we will continue to see great racing. So once again, this is our Peak Performance series.
Yeah.
Race 3, as mentioned, will be at Austria, coming up in 2 weeks. We will have Chase or Pace next week, where it is open to any and all competitors who wish to join. That will also be at Austria as a kind of precursor to the Peak Performance race. And so,
in closing, not to break it. In closing, I'd just like to say that I hope some of the drivers that we missed this event do come back. Tavar Clark had a strong sprint race. I would give him a bit more practice, more competition. That I think, given the field, he would be there. We lost one driver, but we're getting a Brian. As I said, I seeing him on the server. He seemed pretty fast, so I'm looking forward to seeing those two. Well, hope they'll come back in. I know Brian should be in for the next 2 weeks, but so I don't think it's as clear cut as yet. There's 7, but the third event is in the 2 weeks. That's pretty much, quote unquote, we'll call it a halfway mark. So Mitchin proved that you can come in and make a difference. And again, so the other drivers, I think there's still a chance here at this point. Sorry,
Indeed.
Back to you, Chad.
Yes, that concludes race 2 of 7. And exciting times. We've had a lead change and more to come. So we look forward to seeing you all here
On Snack Talk. No, sorry. Peak-Performance 2000. Sorry.
Yes, we look forward to seeing you all here again in 2 weeks. Be reminded that we have other events throughout the week. We have the race with the DR on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Chase or Pace falls on the Saturdays that are not peak performance. And free practices on every Friday prior to race day on Saturday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you in all the competitions. And thanks for joining us here this evening. This is Chad Dillon signing off.
Mr. Spence signing off.
I'm your local food server. Good
night.
Enjoying a night with Snow. Thank you so much for hosting.
Thanks again. Good night.